What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So Diablo just dropped a patch 1.1.3's notes. Now, this will happen on August 29th. So even though we have the patch notes now, these won't be applied until 2 more days. So this patch note just dropped last night. So let's go ahead and actually check out what is actually changing. And I would say overall, most of you guys will be pretty happy with these changes. So starting right off, as far as crowd control goes, they're basically reducing the monster's ability to crowd control you, specifically getting frozen and other abilities here. But to go over more specifics, it says cold enchant elites that attack in quick succession, EX Ghost Archers, Snake Brutes will no longer proc the cold enchanted on every hit. So that's really good, because sometimes you would break CC and then you'd immediately be hit again with another like freeze or knockdown or any of these other things, right? And that's actually going to be a very nice change. Also, chilling wind will spawn overlapping walls less often, so that's going to be overall a nicer change to just kind of the annoyance of those walls. And then on top of that, the stun ability from the Cannibal Gorga can now be more easily avoided. So I'm guessing it's kind of just gonna have a longer wind up, because again, these patch notes, even though we have the notes, they aren't in the game yet, so we can't show off gameplay of these. And then the next one is the increased cooldown of the Cold Goatman Ice Pillars. So again, all of this comes down to less CC, and they reduce the amount of chill applied from the Cold Spider attack. So that's something that is going to be quite nice as well. And they reduce the stun duration from the Nangari Snake Eyes from 1.5 to 1.25 seconds. Other changes that reduce how often the player can be targeted by crowd control. So I'm not sure exactly what this means. My hope is that if maybe you are CC'd by a monster, there is maybe a grace period if you break CC, that you cannot be CC'd again within the next, like, let's say like 1 or 2 seconds at least. Because again, that's kind of the most frustrating thing with this game in general. It depends on the class you're playing. There are certain classes like Barber, Druid that can keep up Unstoppable for a long duration, and this kind of indirectly kind of buffs the other classes, especially when you're trying to do things very fast. Anyways, this is one of the nicer changes, and I don't know why action RPGs do this, and it's a complaint that a lot of players have from lots of action RPGs, not just Diablo. It says the death explosions from the fire enchanted monsters release 1 less wave and deals 20% less damage. I don't know why game developers for the action RPG genre, I'm really curious to know your guys' thoughts on this as well. I've never had anyone say, I like this idea. It actually was in Diablo 3, it's in Path of Exile. There's a lot of these, I kill the monster and then the monster has to explode or throw down a dot degen. If you guys remember, Path of Exile legitimately had a cold dot degen when you would kill a monster for 45 seconds before they decided, hey, this is a bad idea. That for 45 seconds there was a pool of AoE that would just do damage to you and it would get you killed. I don't know, okay, 45 seconds, obviously, that was way too long, but the fact that someone in there actually made that is mind-boggling. But I've never understood this mechanic in Diablo 3 even, where like I kill like a monster and it drops an item, I want to pick up the item. I don't want to be like, oh, I killed the monster, let me run away, let it explode, and then run back. It becomes like redundant when you've been grinding the game for a super long time. It's just kind of a time waster. That's the way I see it. If you want to have it during the campaign or a certain like monster mechanic for something that is, again, something that you would do maybe for like a special quest, or it needs to be something special that would maybe have something super good, or again, for the campaign, I'm more understanding of like a mechanic that you need to dodge. But when it's just like you're kind of just playing the game, I don't think that these affixes are necessary, meaning like the on death when I kill the monster explosion or AoE or whatever the thing is. And then for some reason in Diablo 4 they decided, let's not only have it explode multiple times, but shoot out all these projectiles. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's better, but I just think that in terms of designing an action RPG, it's an unnecessary mechanic. They've also changed the damage from Bloated Corpse Fiend's charge attack by 14%. I think they were supposed to also change the Charger's damage. Those were doing like an insane amount of damage. I don't know if this is in the notes. But kind of my first time checking out these notes as well. I glanced over them because I wanted to make this video. The miscellaneous, so affixes on items will now sort consistently. I hope this makes it so all the sacred items and the ancestral items get completely separated. It separates them kind of in categories, but it'd be really nice just to have them completely separated. And this would be really nice. In fact, I think the better choice would be in World Tier 4, why am I still getting sacred items? I've given them feedback as a Diablo partner, and I'm curious to know what you guys think of this. Why are sacred items in World Tier 4? There's really no point. I guess for a legendary to drop, sure, you can extract the aspect, but in general, I just don't think that the sacred items or even blue or white items need to be in World Tier 4. If they're in like the earlier, progressions, that's fine. But I just think that it's kind of just a waste of space, especially when you play on controller. If you want to pick up one item that might be next to something else, you just end up picking up all the garbage, right? So hopefully they can actually address kind of just the whole idea of the items feeling all more like worth picking up, if that makes any sense. Or specifically like a loot filter would be great, but that's something that may not be in the works for the next season, but I'm hoping eventually we'll get that, and a way to search for the stash I believe will be coming out in the future. But again, as far as loot filter, I don't know if we're getting that next season. Also, it says that the seasonal and my class filters on the Codex power menu can now remember the setting previously selected by the player. Okay, and then navigating the menu on controller will feel more natural. So this was actually a really weird thing. If you played on controller, even if you would go over something completely different, it would still upgrade whatever it was in the farthest to the top left slot, which was really weird because I play a hybrid. I play on PC, but I use a controller, and I actually genuinely do swap between both of them because there's certain things that are way better with controller, like upgrade on the glyphs on the controller. You can grab your controller and spam upgrade, and it'll just keep on going over all the upgrades. But if you're on PC, you have to wait for the bar to like progress to go up. If it's leveling up, then you have to wait. It's just really weird that there's so many things different with controller and PC. Anyways, achievements will now be shared across all the platforms. Okay, that's cool, but it doesn't really change too much. They fixed an issue with the shadow clone provided by the Cage Heart of Trickery, displayed an improper tooltip in the Fields of Hatred. Okay, fixed an issue where crowd control effects would be applied to the shadow clone from the Cage Heart of Trickery and then carried over to the player. Oh, wow, that's actually a pretty nice bug fix, because that would be bad that if the shadow got CC'd, you would be CC'd. The fixing issue with the Cage Heart of the Calculated would not trigger if it's stun effect if the cast skill was imbued. Okay, so that's good. I feel like the Apothecary just wasn't activating enough, but hopefully that will be also in the notes. Fix an issue where the monsters could open the door to the chambers where Varshan is encountered. I didn't even know that this was a bug. The monsters can open up the door to where Varshan is? Okay, the fiction issue with the Echo of Varshan quest would not be completed after defeating Varshan, the player previously defeated him. Oh, so this patch still works? I thought that they patched this. So is this where you could keep on doing the boss? I guess you can still keep on doing it until the 29th. They fixed an issue where completed season journey objectives was displayed in the recently completed section of the challenges menu. Fixed an issue where the rewards for defeating Varshan for the first time wouldn't go to the player's stash if they were missed. Okay, that's nice. Fixed an issue where the Echo of Varshan did not guaranteed legendary drop chance after level 35. The fiction issue where Corman would not appear after defeating Varshan during the Cold Hard Truth quest if the party leader was killed during the fight. Oh, so you could still do it. You could have still done the bug via just having the player die. Okay, and then that way you can talk to him so the quest couldn't be completed, right? Then, on terms of gameplay, when the following skills and powers were applied by a player on a monster, other players were unexpectedly able to benefit from that effect. This issue has been fixed. So skills and passives: Discrepify, Shadow Blight, Twisting Blade, Shatter. Wait, so this is an indirect buff. Okay, so if you didn't know, Twisting Blades, and I'm sure it probably applies to a lot of these, if there's some sort of like CC and or other effect that the monster has, it would maybe increase the damage, because Twisting Blade, I believe, is at 8x more damage while the blade is impaled. Does that mean your whole team benefits from that, or does that mean like other people's Twisting Blades wasn't benefiting from it? I'm not sure. In terms of the wording, you guys can let me know if you guys understand how that works. It just says other players were unexpectedly unable to benefit. So, and then Paragon nodes and glyphs. So Hemorrhage, Exploit Weakness, Revenge, Dominate, Fang and Claw, Dead Razor, and Amplify. Okay. So overall, these are like going to be just like nice. This is overall, I would say, a buff. They also fixed an issue where I guess the cinders you would lose cinders when you go in a cellar. That's a pretty big bug. Glad that's being fixed. I didn't even know that was an issue, but most people are just doing nightmare intentions anyways. They fixed an issue where players would become temporarily stationary when trying to evade immediately after casting a channeled spell like Incinerate. I have not even seen like one person play Incinerate. And then also fix an issue where treasure goblins did not drop a guaranteed legendary item when defeated between levels 15 and 40. Okay, so more legendaries, okay. On top of that, fix an issue where multiple bosses were not guaranteed to drop a legendary item at level 35 and beyond. Okay, so that just means we're going to get more legendaries. They made a more recent update where basically any boss that was level 35 and above would always guarantee a legendary drop, which is a pretty good thing, but now we're just going to get a guaranteed one, and I guess that some just were kind of glitched, I guess, so that's going to be just more consistent over here. Let's see, they fix an issue with the disbanding clan prompt, fix an issue where the quest marker we're searching for a very specific one. I'm just going to like kind of glance over these because if they're just like you know, just a small fix for like a wording, it's not super relevant for us to like read every single piece of text, right? Fix an issue where overlapping icons would display, okay. Fix an issue where the progress notifications on untracked would repeatedly display the same update. Fix an issue where the NPCs could appear riding an invisible horse. Ghost horses, yeah. I've seen this a couple times where like you see the NPC just kind of going on literally nothing, but it doesn't really matter too much. Fix an issue where the classes that can't equip daggers could equip the skeleton key dagger. So I'm guessing maybe when you didn't have an item. Oh, that's a pretty interesting bug. I don't know if there's anything crazy that you could have done with it though, but nonetheless, I guess that's fixed now. They fixed an issue where the Spirit of the Lost Grove Druid class quest could have its progression block the player join a party. Okay, that's pretty big. Various performance and stability. Okay, so the biggest thing that I was actually hoping to see in the patch notes was specifically the rubber banding. I was playing literally last night, and it got really annoying. While I was just playing the game, there'd be times where my character would just like go, and then they would just be like, it would just rubber band all the way back, and it was super frustrating. It felt like I was on ice skates. I think it has to do with basically using a lot of abilities on the rogue too fast, like using dash and then shadow stepping. I don't know. I was hoping that that would be addressed. I guess this kind of addresses it. It's just, I mean, it's pretty vague, but this is something that I think really needs to be addressed in the game. I couldn't be understanding in the first like week of the game if like, you know, the servers, just there's too many people playing on the servers. It's, you know, overcrowded, whatever the case may be. But at this point, I'm really tired of seeing rubber banding, lag issues, and especially when I'm doing nightmare dungeons as fast as I can possibly do them, at the very end, there's a huge wait time between the ability to upgrade my glyphs because that thing just doesn't appear, right? And I think that that's just kind of all these like slowdowns just kind of feel like the game isn't necessarily optimized. Again, like a lot of people mentioned, it kind of feels like in a beta state. So hopefully we can get a lot of these things addressed, but there's no really like any big patch changes for any like huge buffs or nerfs. I mean, I guess we're getting more legendaries, so it's a buff overall, and you know, less CC equals, you know, a smoother gameplay experience. So again, I would say here's my wrap up of my thoughts on this patch, because sometimes you guys like to ask, you know, what are your thoughts on the newest patch? Overall, I don't think any of these changes are bad. So for once, I will say great changes on every single thing that we've seen here. However, I want more exciting things. I want more new legendaries. The fact that they've already announced the next season kind of makes me a little bit less inspired to play this current season. If I'm like, well, there's nothing new, you know, that's going to be added that's coming out. They could have just done some sweeping like numerical number changes on some of the skills that just see very little play. For example, like Flurry on the Rogue, just, you know, buff that up. I mean, it's like almost 1/3 of the damage compared to like Twisting Blades. Just a little bit of things to spice things up. Go to the top core skill for every single class and give it a massive numerical change, just to kind of give us a little bit more of an incentive to play before the next season, because that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. But I've been playing Path of Exile and Baldur's Gate 3 and I've been enjoying it, so it's okay. We'll play next season a lot more, even though I still kind of play. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on this update. Does this get you guys excited to come back to the game? Because that's when I look at a patch, I always think about, is this going to make me want to play the game after maybe, you know, I kind of want to take a break from it. I would say, at least via these patch notes, it's a little bit mediocre. Anyways, that's my thoughts. You guys can let me know yours down below. But subscribe, turn the bell if you want to see more Diablo updates and more gaming content. Catch you in the next one. Peace.